So we have Sean G and Bobby McFlair, aka the other Sean. And so, yeah, so we're here today with the Sauce Pod, and we're using this new software, so we're getting the hang of it. So we got some, some cool features in this little doodad here.
So groovy.
It really is. And then okay. You got the little transition number 5. Ooh. Okay. Okay. And then here's the Riverside intro. That's that bass right there, buddy.
Powered by Riverside.
Riverside. We got the what is it? The Sauce Pod. Yeah, I still gotta get used to everything. All right. So then I kind of downplay it a little bit, get that volume down. Oh, it's a little iffy there. There a little fade out. But yeah, we're here in the house. So yeah, we're going to just kind of hang out with you guys for a little while, and then kind of see what we got going on for today. What is been up with you, Sean, Mr. Bobby McFlair, during this week?
Bobby, this week, what has been up? I mean, I can't think of anything. Just working on some sales outreach, I guess, was mostly top of mind. So we got some domain warming happening, and if you don't know what that is a very boring thing that just happens in the background that no one wants to know what that is.
Yeah, we're trying to. We've been an agency for almost a year and a half now, so we're still a baby, getting ready to start kind of standing up. It's like that wobbly situation where a baby is crawling and they try and stand up and then they fall down. So that's kind of us. We're getting ready to start walking a little bit. But so we've been using like a freelance platform for quite some time, and we're starting to want to move away from it and kind of do our own outreach, VSL funnel kind of thing, and then do some cold emails and all that good stuff. So yeah, I definitely want to get better at that. And I see that across the board with when it comes to really any online business, really any business in general, is like you have to have clients. Like there is no way around it. You know what I mean? You could have like the best products, but for who? You know what I mean?
If no one knows about it.
Exactly. And so that's kind of, again, that's a good point. Kind of like while we're doing this too, is like, trying to, build, because I think branding, I'm kind of all over the place, but branding is kind of just a sense of trust, just building trust. And I think that that's what this is, building trust. And then essentially when people watch this, they could, get used to us, hanging out with us here. And then, we can do some, sales, the cold emails and stuff like that on LinkedIn, or just like, cold emails in general. And we could even call this out in some of our emails. And so then people will get even more familiar with us to, want to hang out and maybe work and do some awesome, emails, e-commerce style, electric saw style.
Electric saw. Yeah, you kind of hit what I was thinking on the head, like familiarity. Like when I see people that are really, active on YouTube and doing it consistently, and then they meet other people like in real life or online, people are like, well, I feel like I know you because I've watched your YouTube videos or you listen to your podcast, and it's like trust and then that familiarity of like, I also kind of like, align with who you are as a person. You say things that I also agree with or whatever. So it's kind of like, this is, I guess, part of that process of just kind of putting ourselves out there. We get to like kind of chit chat a little bit and, maybe bring other people on down the line and, just get to let people know who we are, what we're about, and just, try to add some value all along the way.
Yeah, I agree. I saw this tweet from Triple Whale. It's like an e-commerce platform, and one of their tweets was in one sentence, how do you explain what you do for a living to people at family gatherings? And
I
so,
remember that one. Yeah,
yeah,
okay, go
right.
for it.
Yeah, so I said, and I had a little bit of, I was trying to like figure it out because like I don't know, I'm from Texas, Southern Texas. We got some rednecks, and it's like I had to break it down. Okay, does my family know what email is? Yes. Does my family know? Does my family know what e-commerce is? No. So then I had to take e-commerce and break that down one step level, right? One level down. So e-commerce is online store. So they know what online is and they know what a store is. And so that's what I went with. And so emails, and it's like when you write emails, right? So I got deep with this, okay? So because it says family gatherings here. So I had to really like break it down. But so I went ahead and said, I write and design emails for online stores. And so
Okay.
that's coming from, you know, about an hour. No, I'm just joking. Probably a good 10 minutes of thinking about my family and how, because we could say, oh yeah, we build emails for DTC brands, and they're gonna be like, what'd you
Yeah.
say? What'd you call me? you know.
But I'd be interested
So
to hear, like, in a couple months as we get, into the holidays, some aunt or uncle may ask you, what have you been up to? There's
hmm
most of our family knows, but like kind of some of that more extended family may not know. So
yeah.
yeah, I'd be
What would
interested
you
to hear
say?
the feedback. Yeah, that's good. I would say, yeah, it'd have to be really simple, kind of
hmm
like just talking to like a 5-year old. I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
I send messages. I guess email would be the easiest. I send emails,
hmm
for online stores to help them with their, help them with their sales or to reach
Right.
customers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because that's a good point. You're like adding on to what I'm saying. It's like, okay, so you write and design emails for online stores. Okay, cool. Like what is that for? You know what I mean? And it's like,
Mm,
they may not know, which is kind of where you came in at. It's like, oh, you can actually, make money from emails from these stores, and it's like, you know, people from my family gatherings would not know that. They're just like, oh yeah, you just send them an email.
yeah.
Like they
I
just,
would almost like just go walk back in time to their time. It's like I'd be like, okay, remember when Sears used to send you a catalog? We're kind of just doing that, like smaller versions of that every week for these companies. It's not a
yeah,
full thick catalog. We're just sending you one page out of the catalog
right.
every week.
Yeah, yep. That's pretty much that's pretty much it. And they're my family's still looking at those catalogs for sure. So,
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know
um,
they still existed.
they actually have a collection. They're looking at some old ones. I think
Oh, it's
they still got.
nostalgic. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. No, yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I pretty much just like I'll get on Twitter and just like chill out. I'll be like laying on the bed or on the toilet or whatever, and I'll just like go through
Laying on the
Twitter.
toilet. What kind of
Laying on the
toilet do you
toilet.
have?
Yes, I have a toilet that reclines. Yeah, it's yeah.
It's
It
got
came.
the bidet in there too, so you
Yes,
full
you have to have.
service.
That's so funny. Like that was like I heard it from somewhere. It was like someone was, oh, it's this show on Netflix called Mo. I think that's what it was. Yeah, and they were talking about, or he was in a stand-up, and yeah, it was like the bidet. It's like his
Yeah,
family, right? I think you saw the same one, right?
I
And it's like,
did. Yeah.
it came into town, and where's the
He's
bidet?
like, bro, you're the problem in this situation. Like, we're shaking hands, and I know you haven't.
Yeah, right.
He's like,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
was funny. Yeah.
So like, what happens if a finger slips through? You just never know. So like, you need you need the bidet. You know what I mean? So if you don't know what that is, look it up. Um, yeah, that's and there's like I know there's like bidets that are separate from the toilet. You know what I mean? But then there's also like components that you can add to the toilet, which I
Hmm.
think is I want to say one's called like My Tushy or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's actually a DTC brand, which is interesting.
Hmm.
I'm probably going to look into that here in a little while. But
Do a little collab with the Squatty Potty and just
Yeah, the
full
Squatty
service.
Potty. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's that other toilet paper company. Do you remember what it's called?
Oh
It's like
yeah,
I Give a
I
Crap or
don't.
something like that.
I think so, something like that. And
Yeah,
then you got Poopery. If you just put all that
Poopery.
together, you got a full experience right there.
Full experience, and it's the, e-commerce world, online store world, Uncle Carl, for the Uncle Carls out there that don't know. um, but but yeah, yeah, definitely interesting, to think about. But yeah, I also, speaking of Twitter, I also have like a handful of like little, things. There's one guy said, and I wanted to see if what he said was, is the right way to build a personal brand. He's got 1, 2, and 3. So do awesome stuff is number 1.
Okay.
Number 2 is share what you learned. And then number 3 is repeat over and over again. And it says, don't try to build the brand from nothing. Build yourself, and the brand will follow. I like to do awesome stuff. That's okay. Do awesome stuff. So it's like we're doing awesome stuff. We're doing the electric sauce. We're learning, going through the whole experience on building an agency, and then also learning how to, do email marketing, just getting better and better. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
There's always that worry that like you put so much time and effort into like this product. Our product and service is email marketing, and so you always want to make sure that like it's still good. You know what I mean? Like your service isn't going anywhere. And so,
Hmm.
kind of a side note to that, like we found out that Shopify spent like 150, or was it partnered with Klaviyo, 150 million, invested in 150 million dollars into Klaviyo, which is amazing, and it's exciting for us as an agency. We can definitely see. I feel like Shopify wouldn't have done that if they felt like email was going anywhere, and email has been around for so long,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
um, so share. So we're doing awesome stuff, right? So then what we do is just share the awesome stuff that we're doing.
Hmm.
Okay, easy peasy, kind of what we're doing right now. Um,
Yeah.
and then it just says repeat over and over again. So then it's like time. So do
Hmm.
awesome stuff, share it over time. Boom.
Yeah. Simple.
Simple. Yep. Yep. All right.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. What else we got? Do you have anything?
I had this random thought of like 20 years down the road, like, people, right now we're sending emails for people to shop from their inbox and describing that to like our parents and grandparents, and like, oh, okay, people buy stuff. Like, you don't go to the store anymore. You just buy it from your
Hmm.
computer or from your phone. And now you fast forward like 30 years, we're like the
Oh
old
yeah.
dads and grandpas, and the kids are just sitting in the seats with like a gamer seat with a VR headset,
Oh
and
yeah.
then just like buying stuff or just like doing all like, we're like, what are you doing? Like hit him with
Yep.
the cane.
Yeah. Dude, like there's like the whole, was it like the web 3, the was it 3.0 or whatever, the web
Yeah, Web
3?
three. Yeah.
Yeah, they're always like talking about like this like virtual, where you're just like, you're kind of like what you're saying, but you're like in the virtual world, but then you walk inside a Foot Locker and you buy like a pair of shoes, and you're like
Hmm.
holding them, looking at them, and then you like purchase them, and then a couple days later they actually show up to your house. So
Hmm.
it's like, you know, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I really
Pretty
like that.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so,
The other thing on my mind is, this is really random too, but like over in like United Arab Emirates, like UAE,
hmm
out in the desert, basically, they're like, there's tons of oil money and all that going on, but they're like, if you look at some of like the architecture and designs that have come out recently, they've got like two of them that are like pretty insane. One of them's like this super long. I can't remember how long it is, but it's
hmm
probably like over a mile long. It's just one like probably 10-story or maybe even 100-story building, But basically, like they've got two of these massive structures that they've concepted out that
Hmm.
would be like entire communities. Imagine like all of Houston, like 4 million people living in this one big, like massive structure that's like self-contained. The other one
Whoa.
is like looks like the moon is how they're concepting it out,
Oh,
and so
interesting.
like you'd be able to like live in this like self-contained city, um,
What?
and it's designed so you don't really have to like like in Houston we have to pretty much travel by car for
Yeah.
everything, and for these like yeah you'd be able to like kind of get around like on different you know modes of transportation, just like inner I guess like an inner like subway or
Hmm.
something like that that's just designed inside that community. But it's pretty freaking amazing. Like I just
Yeah.
can see like what's that Total Recall,
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
like 90s movie. It's gonna be like kind of
Hmm.
like that on Earth and then on the moon and then on Mars.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
these little ecosystems.
Yeah.
Pretty
That's
wild.
yeah. That is cool. And like when you were saying that, like, I went to Spain for for like 3 months, and one of my favorite parts of Spain was like the transportation. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
here in Houston, man, like we do have like the metro system, but it's like you were saying, you pretty much have to have a car here. Like,
Yeah, that's like my
you know,
biggest quarrel with Houston. It's like I just want to move to a place that's a lot more walkable. Like even in
yeah,
Austin, I could bike them somewhere in 10 to 15 minutes,
yeah,
and the weather's not as, not as brutal as Houston, but still
sure,
like, if you just have a little bit milder temperatures and you can walk or bike most
yep,
places, like I think that's kind of where most communities are trying to at least
hmm,
accomplish, at a minor level,
yeah, yeah,
more
yeah.
walkable communities.
Yep, having like finding like little pockets, like even here in Houston, like find like I'm kind of in a pocket where I'm
Hmm.
literally surrounded by, I think like four grocery stores. You know what I mean? And so,
Hmm.
and they're close enough for me to walk. There's two of them that I can walk to: a Whole Foods and a Trader Joe's. One's to the left, one's to the right. And then HEB and Kroger's are a little bit further away, um, but yeah, those are still like good walking distance for me, even if it's like 100 degrees outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that short little walk, like by the time I get to Whole Foods, it's nice and cold inside, and so I'm good. And so then by the time, like once I'm like walking around in Whole Foods, I cool down, and then I get my stuff, and then I leave, and then it's like, okay, I don't have to go very far. But I do like that, being able to walk around. But if it was cooler and if it was further, but then have a bike, somewhere in that area, like I would always say like maybe like I envision like Colorado would be kind of like that. It's kind of cool outside, and then like you have like some areas where you can kind of walk to the store. And now that I'm older, like that's like one of my favorite things to think about. Like if I were to move, would be is like how close can I get to like either a little gas station, like a nice convenience store,
Hmm.
in walking distance, or like a grocery store in walking distance. Like that
Yeah.
way, if you want to pick up, some beers, a pizza or whatever, you could just that you could just walk down the street. Let me go grab some something real quick. Let me go grab some beef jerky real quick. Um, just because like you want beef jerky, you could just go and grab it. You don't have to get in the car. In some of these like apartment complexes, it's like time consuming. Yeah, get in the car. It's hot. You like melt when you're in the car, and then like you gotta back up, and you might lose your parking spot, and the gates like real slow to open up. I don't know. You know, first world problems for sure.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, other than that, um, yeah, I think we got like back to this brand building thing. I think we're doing the right thing for sure.
Yeah, I probably just could share a little bit more of the journey and the process. I don't really think about stuff like that. If I was
Yeah,
10 years younger, it'd be like automatic, but
yeah,
I've just
yeah.
always kind of avoided social media. And so now it's ingrained to me to not think
Hmm.
about it and
Nope.
avoid it. And now I'm like, okay, you're basically irrelevant if you're doing that, so it's kind of like a hard truth where it's like,
Hmm.
you better like start doing it, like shit or get off the pot in a weird terminology. It's like you
Hmm.
better start doing it, or you're just going to continue to
You're
remain
gonna fall
irrelevant.
behind it almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I think this is the funnest one that we can do is like doing like this podcast thing because like it's me and you, the founders, hanging out, talking, and then
Hmm.
eventually we'll have other people on here, to like three or four people, whatever, just to kind of riff and kind of, talk, talk to them and hear their story. You know what I mean? Um, but Friday, evening, it's 4 o'clock here. You know what I mean? Like we're, pretty much end of day kind of thing. Let's hang out. Shoot, grab a beer while we're hanging out and talking on the pod. And so, all the other stuff is like it feels like work. This is like one of the only ones that doesn't feel like work. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, let's just jump on and just hang out. We could talk about whatever. You know what I mean? As
You're
long
not
as
gonna be one of those dudes that's like, oh, once you start something you love, you'll never work another day in your life.
dude, like yeah, definitely like because I love what I do. You know what I mean? I think
I enjoy
at the
it,
end
yeah.
at the end of the day, you enjoy like I think that's like a key component to like being an entrepreneur is like you find what you're doing somewhat enjoyable. You know what I mean? Because it's like I feel like one of the hardest like manual labor jobs that I can think of right now, especially in Houston, would be like um, roofing. Being on top of
Ooh.
people's houses and like building roofs, like
Yeah.
repairing roofs is, you know what I mean? So I can imagine like,
Or
how
just
hard that
construction in general, like being
construction
out
and
there would be brutal.
so brutal, right? And so it's like, if that's all you did, for 10, 15, 20 years, so you have the skill set or even not even that long, just a couple years, you know what I mean? Like, and you have the skill set, then you're just like, hey, you know what? I want to jump in and, build my own company. At that point, you might have like the passion behind that particular, skill set because that's what you've done. But I'm not going to just like say, oh, hey, I want to build like a business, a roofing business, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even
But
though
like
it
with
is
all
on,
of that stuff, I just think of like, how can I leverage technology to do
yeah,
this at scale? Like I just
hmm
met this dude the other day. He's like like a friend of a friend kind of now, and like he has his own pool cleaning company, right?
oh,
Super
dope, yeah,
basic service.
yeah,
Lives in a really nice neighborhood and does it for that neighborhood, the
oh,
Woodlands,
cool,
right? And so
yeah,
it's like, but he's like, I don't want to manage other people. I don't want to do that. I'm
hmm
just sitting here going like, I know of this lawn mowing service that leverages an app that you just hire other people out. Like if we just were to build that app or
hmm
piggyback on top of their service, now
interesting,
you don't have to hire people. You're basically just using technology, and getting a piece of that. But yeah,
interesting,
I think of that like all the time now with that
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah. It kind of reminds me of like the Ubers and the Airbnbs. It's like Uber and Airbnb. They don't own the assets. They just find people that own them and then just kind of hire them in a way. You know what I mean? It's
They
like
like create the marketplace essentially.
right, yeah, yep. Yep, that's cool. And I know you're kind of in that world with the Airbnb world. Like you're actually kind of looking into doing that. That's still a
Hmm.
thing, huh?
Yeah, just working on Airbnb the house and
Nice.
just kind of going on the road for a little while, just
Yep.
because I have that flexibility now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the really nice part about ownership of like your time and your paycheck is that you can
Yep.
work from wherever, as long as there's good
hmm
internet and
Yep.
kind of be a little bit more flexible. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that if nothing else about
Yeah.
like being your own boss and having
The
kind of
freedom.
ownership over your time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the freedom and like being an entrepreneur, business owner nowadays is way better than it was a couple years ago. Especially before the internet. The internet has definitely changed the world when it comes to businesses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's so much opportunity out there. You know what I mean? You could. I mean, I say it all the time, man. Like I see people like you can tell like you go into a place and like they're just like miserable. You know what I mean? But then I'm just like, man, you could pick any one of the like thousands, hundreds of thousands of softwares online and just
Hmm.
learn it and just
Yeah.
like become an expert around that software, which wouldn't take you long, because of the amount of the education behind it. it's YouTube University, you know what I mean? Like, and then once you get a little bit of, money in the door from whatever, you can buy some courses. I'm a real big course advocate, and so, I just think that like finding something that you're, remotely passionate about, whether it be coding or marketing or photography or whatever it is, like, you know, pick a like a software like Notion. There's a lot of Notion people out there that are, a single entrepreneur making 100,000 a year. You know what I mean? And he's like, his outreach is Twitter, and his service and his like product is like a Notion consultant. Boom. And you told me the other day, like consultants are like, their profit margins are like 80, 90%, because it's just like one person, maybe like a contractor here and there, right?
Right. Yeah. I think there's a little bit more of a backstory and a road to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
You got to kind of be quite skilled to become a consultant, or at least have like a really large network that you could tap into. But
Sure.
yeah, I mean, starting like on that kind of freelance side is definitely
Yeah,
a good way to
freelance side
build
for
the
sure.
skill set. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because there's plenty of people that could need
Mm-hmm.
help even just to speed it up.
Yeah,
What they're trying to accomplish. So yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I definitely see like guys on, like, at least that's what they say, like especially Notion, because we use Notion. But like I'll see people on Twitter, and they're like, yeah, I'm 19 years old, and I started this 2 years ago, and I'm making 100,000 a year selling Notion templates and building my audience off of Twitter. And I'm just like, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's really cool. Like, being 19, I definitely was not thinking that way, when I was 19, but also we didn't have Notion. We didn't, like that kind of like world didn't exist. But it's cool that those 19-year-olds are like doing stuff like that. Yeah, it's really cool. And but speaking of like courses, there was a tweet. It's kind of cool how I'm like, you know, how it works out. But one of the questions on Twitter was, "What's the best online course you've taken?" And he lists a few of them, but I was going to see if any of them stand out for you. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be what we do. It could be something that you've taken, a couple years ago, or whatever. Anything come to mind?
Um, I mean, I kind of like the one of the first ones that we took when we started, which was like Ezra's. I thought his was like really comprehensive, and I liked the way it was set up. It was, mostly him in the beginning, kind of laying it out, and it was like, I mean, we had taken some other courses after that that were still really good,
Mm-hmm.
but I just felt like his had it just didn't hit just the surface. It went pretty deep, and he actually had. I mean, he had the luxury of having his own brand to like
Yeah.
really showcase a lot of that stuff and a lot of the results and stuff too. But like, I
Mm-hmm.
just felt like it wasn't just surface. Like, here are the basic stuff that I just pulled from the internet and repackaged into a video format for you. It was like, here's stuff that has actually worked for us for the last 2 years with our brand, and it's crushing it. You can do this, you can do this. Here's how to set it up. Here's everything, and it was like really advanced stuff, and also
Mm-hmm.
very comprehensively like laid out for you. And I was pretty impressed by that, and still kind of go back to it every now and then. And I'm
Yeah.
still
No,
kind of
it's
wowed by it.
yeah. No, it's definitely a good one. And I go to it all the time. I think every time I watch any of the courses that we have, like I'll watch them, um, and like I feel like I learn something new every single time,
Yeah.
which is cool. I'd say one of my favorite ones. I think for me, so you have like your specific kind of courses that you learn something specific like email marketing or whatnot. But like for me, I think it was like a lot of the mindset stuff, and a lot of it that was from Sam Ovens. I think Sam Ovens was, kind of, opened the door, or just kind of opened my mind. I was like walking around a dark room, and then all of a sudden Sam Ovens comes in there and turns the light on. He's like, "Hey, turn on the light on. It's dark in here." You know what I mean? And so,
He went
so that
wild with those Facebook ads. It was like you couldn't not see Sam Ovens for a little while.
Yeah. Well, so how I found him was through Ty Lopez, and I know a lot. Ty Lopez gets a lot of like, he a lot of people don't really care for him. But 2015 Ty Lopez was really cool. Like that's when he
I
first
feel like he
started.
was Sam Ovens before Sam. Like he was all over Facebook and just
Yep.
ads in general right
Yep.
before Sam Ovens was. And just
Yeah. And that's how I found Sam Ovens, because Sam Ovens was on a webinar for Ty Lopez. So I learned about Ty Lopez through the here in my garage, $1 million.
yeah,
But
right. How many hundreds of thousands of people saw him? Like, here's my bookshelf, here's my
yep,
Lambos. And you're just
yep,
like, okay, who is this guy? God damn
yep.
it.
And so that I was on the boats working offshore. So when I see this guy saying that he can get cars or live like a better life through knowledge, you know what I mean? I know there's a million memes out there, but it hooked me, and so I just started reading. That was my biggest takeaway, was like, while everybody else on the boats and offshore were, just doing mindless stuff, not bettering themselves, I was like, oh, okay, so I could better myself by learning more. Education doesn't stop in high school or college. You can keep it going. You know what I mean? So that was
Of course.
my approach to it. And so, but then I think he launched like a live webinar with this guy named Sam Ovens. And so I jumped on there, and I think it was like an hour, 2 hours long. And that was when, to build a consulting business. And so that like
Yeah.
just recreated like wires and buttons and dots all over my head. I was like, oh man, here we go. Like,
You know who is that today?
who?
Alex Hermosi.
Oh
And I
yeah,
feel like he's 10x. I mean,
dude.
he's just insane. He's all over the place. And I feel
Yep.
like just every little video
That's,
adds
yep.
like so much value. There's no video that I've seen that I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that was okay. I'm always just like, oh man, like
Yeah,
you're just a powerhouse of
dude.
knowledge. Not to mention he looks like a freaking
Oh
powerhouse.
yeah, yeah, dude. He's the size of a train, man. He is huge.
Yeah.
And
And
then
I
yeah,
just
he
saw
just
one just a second ago that was like, he's like, there's these people that are like, I'm on my 36th book for the year and they're trying to read a book a week. And he's just like, you know what? I'd rather the person that told me like, I've read 4 books this year and I'm studying them. These are the 4 books that I really need. And he's like,
yep,
the question you really need to ask yourself that people need to figure out is like, what is it that you really need to learn next? Like, what do you
yeah,
need to learn now? What do you need
yep,
to learn next? Like, don't just read books just to fucking like stroke your own ego and just
yeah,
say you've read a book. Like,
yep,
do it to like help, to
yep,
learn something and apply it. Obviously, you got to apply it. But yeah,
yeah, yep. That's me right now, and I'll dive into different areas. So one of the books I'm reading is like a copywriting book. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah.
um, we talked about this earlier today. Like, just trying to get better at copywriting, and I didn't realize how important it was, to be
I
honest with
truly
you.
believe. I used to think sales was the most valuable skill, and now I'm learning copywriting. And I'm like, that's the precursor to sale. You got to like learn how to write, which will
Yep.
teach you how to speak and approach
Yep.
people, psychology, and then there's
Mhm.
sales, and then maybe marketing after that, and then
Yep.
of course like now you kind of got a little bit of an entrepreneurship package if you got a nice product market fit if you want to go down that road. But like,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, man, copywriting is so powerful.
It really is. It really is. Like, I'm definitely getting like a rush of experience and just like aha moments, almost like realizing how important copywriting is. Like, you know, I would have thought design was up there, but really no, because like if you think about it, like Twitter is just, there's images and videos and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff that I read is just written word. You know what I mean? Just like, and that, I think that kind of built, because when Twitter first came out, I think it was like I think it's more now. I think it's like 200 something characters. I think at the time it was like 120 or something like that. So it was pretty low. Um,
Hmm.
and so you really had to get your point across in a really, small snippet. You know
There were
what I
no
mean? So
threads back in the day.
yeah, exactly. And so, LinkedIn is, you can have long form content on LinkedIn, but yeah, I think, yeah. And I'm glad I'm like being open minded with it now. And like, I just was never really interested in it. So I just never really pursued it. And so now I see the power of it, see how important it is. And so now I'm like actually reading books on it. I didn't, I have my Kindle. And so I didn't do the I didn't purchase the book. I just like did the sample. But a lot of times I'll finish the sample, and if it's good, I'll just go ahead and buy the book. And so
Mhm.
because that kind of gives me like an idea. Like, am I going to stick with it? And if I can get past the sample, then I'll definitely like, and I feel like it's good, then I'll just like, yeah, $10, $15, whatever, um, and then just go ahead and go for it, and you know, there it is.
What are
I
your like uh, kind of things that make you pull the trigger on that book versus saying, "Nah, let me go check out something else" after you read the sample?
I think one of the biggest factors is, and could be like a bad thing, but like if it's boring, if I get bored, like I feel like I get bored easy, or if I feel like, yeah, like the book kind of drags, you know what I mean? Sometimes the book
Hmm.
can kind of drag, or it can be kind of like slow at times, you know what I mean? It's like, a lot of, and I think yeah, like a book will have the kind of what they're trying to teach, right? What's the main thing they're trying to teach? And then they'll just have story after story after story just to confirm that what they're trying to
Hmm.
teach. And so after a few stories, I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I know what's going on here. And so then I'm just like, I don't need to read any more stories. I have an idea on like how this works. And then my next phase is, for me, I have to like communicate it out. So like I'll talk to either you or I'll talk to somebody, because then that helps me kind of seal it in. You know what I mean? So it's almost like
Hmm.
as if I was like kind of teaching somebody. And I know
Of
there's a
course.
saying, right? If
Yeah.
you got to teach it or whatever. But so that really helps me. But yeah, so to back to your question, it's like if it's if I get bored, but if I feel like it's kind of like I get like these bursts of like inspiration. And like if I see a book that's just really kind of honed in on what I'm really interested in, I'll just dive in. I can't hear nothing. There'll be a fire truck going down the road. I will not hear it. I'm in the zone. You know what I mean? And so,
Hmm.
um, yeah, it takes a little bit to get to that book. I'll like sample out a handful of books, and then I'll find one or two of them that I really dive in, and then I kind of just rinse and repeat that. So, do you have any?
So like writing style, and then also like make getting to the point and giving you enough to
Hmm.
crunch down on and teach out to people without beating the dead horse kind of thing. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. Like I like
Yep.
how he writes and I like how he explains it. Cool.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then if it's like, um, if it's like, I don't know. I was
I mean, I would agree with you. That was going to be kind of my answer
okay.
too. Is like I always look at like the writing style, even if it's not something I'm trying to learn. It can be like
Right.
I don't really read a lot of nonfiction, but like I'm reading this one. It's called the Empathic Civilization, and it's 600 pages. It's a thick book, and it's
Wow.
kind of like daunting to even like start.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's something that turns my mind off of work, and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
he's definitely the main idea is that as a civilization we're trying to move to this place where we're like um, becoming more empathetic towards people, towards the planet, creatures, the whole thing. We're not just like this
Mm-hmm.
uh, like he talks about like Freud and his like we're just animalistic people that are here to like procreate and like
Mm-hmm.
get money and power and dominate other people, and it's like, well, maybe that's how it used to be, but now we're maybe hopefully moving towards more of a place where we're like we care about each other, and
Mm-hmm.
he goes into the whole nature nurture thing, and so
Cool.
he's like really taking a long time to build up to like this one central idea, right? And
Mm-hmm.
600 pages worth of it, but the style is like really easy to digest. I wouldn't say it's an easy book, but it's not like
Mm-hmm.
super, it's not professory where I feel like he's like trying to
Right.
tell
Right.
me something. And so it's like really easy to read. It's kind of like slowly unfolding. And like, I'm just like, cool. Like and that's how like I'll measure up a book, whether it's digital
Right.
or whether I'm in like a store, I'll, read the flap. I kind of got that from Ty Lopez where he's like, read the
Yep.
flap, flip through it a couple times, like
Yep.
kind of figure out the style of the book, read a
Mm-hmm.
couple pages. And if I like the style, if I feel like obviously it's got to be a topic that I'm interested in. Otherwise I wouldn't have picked up the book in the first
Right.
place.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of like I'm similar to where I'll like bounce around on different books, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I'm definitely not of the mindset. I've changed this, over the last several years, where it's like you don't have to finish a book just
Yep.
because you started it. Just if
Yep.
you're not interested anymore, put that sucker down. You may come back to it. You may
Yep.
never. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like don't.
There is no book police,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So just like follow your interests, and like
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing is like what are you reading it for and how are you going
Yeah.
to apply it? Otherwise, it all comes back to like you were saying. You got to like it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. The body, the
Yep.
mind, you got to like teach it out or do
Yeah.
something with it. Otherwise, it's just like why did you even read it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you needed to read it to know that you didn't care. you know,
Exactly.
I
That
guess,
was
but
yeah. That's kind of what I learned from Ty as well. Was like there is no like rules to reading
yeah.
books. It's like I know, some people that I would read a book, and then one of the first things they'd ask is like, "Did you finish it?" Like I'm like, "Well, I mean, no, I didn't read it word for word," and they're just like, oh, like then you don't know it. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's
Mhm.
not true. Like a book has like one or two nuggets. I understand like the nuggets and I'm done. I don't need to keep finishing it. And so it's like you can see it in their face. It's almost a letdown. Like you didn't finish the
Right.
book. It's like, well, you didn't read the book. I read the book. I said I read the book. I didn't say I finished the book. I
Yeah,
got
and I
what I
mean, some of
needed
my
out of it.
favorites are like those, like what I would call like a resource manual. Like some of
Yeah.
those Tim Ferriss books, like the Tools of Titan.
Yeah.
I've never read that whole book, but I've looked
No.
through it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
There's different nuggets for different occasions out of that book.
Yeah,
And
it's a
those
good
are probably
book.
my favorite types of books. Is those
Yep.
like ones that I know I'm going to refer back to.
Hmm. Yeah, Naval's book is real. It's nowhere near the size of Tim Ferriss's book, but Naval's his is the no, Navalmanac.
Oh
Kind of a
yeah,
tongue twister.
yeah.
That
I'm
the
surprised I
white book.
haven't looked into that because I
That's a
love
good
Naval.
book. It's an amazing book.
I've listened to that tweet storm like I feel like at least like 20
Yeah,
times.
and that's the cool thing. So it's the book is that in written form, and so
Okay, maybe that's why I haven't gotten the book yet because I've just been
right, you've
crushing
been
through that
just
one.
crushed. Yeah, because it's like a 3 hour long, podcast tweet
Yeah,
storm, right? So then you have the book. So then I would do the book a little bit, and like if I go on a walk, I'll just throw that in, just listen to that.
yeah.
But and you were saying something earlier, like what it reminded me of, kind of what Naval was saying was is like like the world. Ideally, the world will just have like a handful of robots doing kind of the mediocre stuff, while humans
Mhm.
can be doing like more of like the
Oh,
creative
like
stuff,
knowledge work.
knowledge work,
Yeah,
right? Hanging out with
yeah.
your family, hanging out with your kids, doing some knowledge work, doing some creative stuff, and letting the robots do the other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Flip the burgers, because, I don't think that really anybody's passionate about flipping burgers. I understand it's like an entry level job. It's a way to get some income and move your way up. But I think that, that person's direction, because I'm no different. I actually literally flipped burgers. I worked at Dairy Queen. That was my
Do you
first
know Jeff
job.
Bezos did too? He used to flip
I
burgers.
I had no idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So that's what I'm saying. It's like you can start somewhere, but like the end goal is always like something you might be like, interested in, or passionate about. But I like the idea of having like just robots just flip the burgers, while I could learn how to manipulate the robots, not in a scary, creepy way like Rick and Morty way, but like more like I want to be able to be the programmer of those robots.
Of
Then
course.
it's like special knowledge. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a programmer at that point. And then I'm making some damn good money, 150K a year or some crazy stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, the programmers of this world have been remote for over a decade now.
Yeah.
They think this is laughable.
Oh yeah, it is
Um,
so funny, dude. Like the introverted programmers, they're like COVID stuff. We've been doing this for 10 years. What are y'all doing? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Calm
I've
down.
had two jobs. I got two computers side by side. I'm making 300K right now.
Dude, I just recently watched a new one of the overemployment. It was Aaron Jack, and he said that one guy had 5 jobs, and that
Wow.
he was bringing in 1.2 million. Like
Jeez.
that's definitely not scalable. But even if you had one other job, for 8 months to a year, like you said, 300K, you save that additional, you live off of one, save the other one, right? And then that saved other one is like investments. You can invest in a real estate kind of thing. You can put it into stocks. There's like definitely areas to invest. And so I like the idea of like overemployment. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I was blown away when I saw that. I was like, this is genius
Yeah,
and pretty
right.
amazing.
Especially in the
And
tech
then
world.
yeah, and then it was kind of funny because once we learned about that, and then we learned that like one of our like best contractors that we love working with every single day, she was also basically a contractor for like someone else, which isn't like this crazy idea, right? They're a contractor
Hmm.
for, so they can be a contractor for anybody. But, in our mind, she was, we were paying her a really good salary. We kind of had the expectation that she was working with us full time. And then come to find out, she's kind of like moonlighting for somebody else. And it's just
Oh
like,
yeah.
I had to kind of be like, man, I don't like that. But also like, kudos to you. But
Yep.
like, so it was kind of super weird to kind of be on the other side of that too. But
Yep.
it's not, I'm not, we're treating her really well and,
Yep.
she does a great job. So let her go do a great job for other people too. I mean, she's still meeting the needs for what we pay her to do. So,
Yep.
hey, go crush it.
Go crush it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like I'm with you on that too. Um, yeah. I mean, we don't really have a time frame for these. I know this is like one of the
There's
first
not
ones
even
that
like
we're
a
doing.
counter on here. I don't even know how long we've been
It
rocking.
46 minutes.
Okay, cool.
So yeah. So I wanted to try this screen share thing. I'm gonna pull up this like end of kind of
Is it the one
podcast.
that we were looking at yesterday?
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull it up, and I'm hoping that the this little system, this little program works pretty good, so you guys can see it as well. But this is an
I feel like I can
actual
sit on
thing.
this. I feel like I can
What is
pull
that?
this
What do you
down.
do? Oh yeah, trying to do the thing. So I found this. I'm gonna let it load. Um, but it's a sheep human contest in France.
It's not
This is
sexual, by the way. It sounds
yes,
awful, but it's pretty
yeah,
funny.
yeah, it's
There's
so
no
let me.
bestiality.
Okay, here we go. Let me pause it. I'm gonna turn on the volume. 8.7 million views on this thing. So
It's pretty
share
weird.
this. Yeah, I'll share the screen. Boom. So here we go. These are people that are in a sheep human contest. Here we
I
go.
wonder how they judge like who's the winner of that.
Did you see her? Meh.
There's a purple one.
Oh man, this is so weird. But it's cool. Like I actually, because like I'll sit here and watch them, and I'm like, man, they actually move just like a sheep. Like it's crazy. I don't know. I thought it was cool. Thought it was funny. Let me know what you think in the
I think
comments. Yeah.
it's. I think people have a lot of time on their hands.
Right. Right.
I
Yeah,
just,
man.
I don't know.
Cool. I guess, yeah, I guess we, 45, 50 minutes, we can call it quits. But yeah, let us
Cool.
know if you, liked the way this went. And yeah, this is, one of the first ones we'll probably upload. So, let us know how it went. This is kind of the route that we're going to go, kind of just like, two friends slash founders hanging out, talking, coming up with, just some ideas just to hang out. And, we'll definitely have like other people to hang out with as well. And so, yeah, I don't know if you want to
Cool.
add anything to it.
Bobby McFlair over and out.
Yes, sir. So let's see. See if it works.
Need some outro music.
Yeah, let's see. Maybe not. Maybe not this time. Maybe
All
it's
right, we'll work
oh,
on
here we
that.
go. Here we go. Oh,
Post
yeah.
production.
Yeah, post production, everybody. All right. So, cool. We are out of here. Peace.
Later.